What's up guys, I'm back again with another video, and this time I think I'm back for real because I finally figured out what I'm trying to do with this channel of mine. And yeah, I'll tell you that again on the next video I'll be posting. But yeah, for today's video I'm just gonna be talking about the Sony A7 IV. You saw the unboxing. What do you think? I thought it was pretty cool. It's always cool unboxing a camera. But yes, yeah, let me tell you about this camera. But this isn't actually the Sony A7 IV. This is still my good old Nikon D5500. This is the Sony A7 IV, and let me tell you what my experience has been the past month or so with it. So let me get to this video. So the Sony A7 IV is considered to be the new hybrid king camera because it does so well in both photo and video that there's no arguing that it is the hybrid king. Yeah, so I've always been a Sony fan and I've always liked Sony products. If you know me personally, you know I have like the Sony headphones, the Sony earbuds, the Sony everything. Only thing that's actually missing is a PS5 that I'll probably get eventually. But in terms of the console wars, I'm not a big Sony fan because I'm still PC master race forever. Yeah, but I still like the Sony products and I'm a big Sony fan. The build quality on their products has always been incredible. So the Sony A7 IV is a successor to the very well acclaimed and well liked Sony A7 III. Yeah, I've always wanted that one as well, but the one annoying thing that I didn't like, it didn't have a flip screen. That was one thing that threw me off with the A7 III. But once they announced the Sony A7 IV with, and I saw that it had a flip screen, it was like, there was nothing wrong for it to me. It was the perfect camera that I needed, and came to find out, it actually is. So the Sony A7 IV has a lot of upgrades from the Sony A7 III. It has a better sensor which shoots 33 megapixels as compared to the 12 megapixels that the A7 III shot. It shoots 10-bit 422 where the A7 III only shot 8-bit codec. So it does give me a better leniency and advantage when color grading my footage. You'll see how crisp I look once I've color graded this footage. The Sony A7 III is still a very good camera, and it's still one I still recommend to a lot of people because if you need just a video camera, that camera still works pretty well and it still shoots great quality video. But if the price difference is not a lot, I still recommend just getting the A7 IV because it is that much better upgrade. The upgrades are very visible from the A7 III. Okay, let me get to the real advantages of the Sony A7 IV, specifically it, not comparing it to anything else. So, for photo and video, let me start with photo. For photo, the A7 IV works perfectly. It has a 33 megapixel sensor, and compared to the other Sony cameras like the A7S III and the A7 III, which have a 12 megapixel sensor, including the FX30 and the FX3. Yeah, for photo they only have 12 megapixel sensors, and if you do a lot of hybrid photo and video, like you're still a photographer but you do a lot of video, you need that extra megapixels. Actually a very good advantage to have in a camera just in case you need it. Even if you are not a big photo person, you only focus on video, having a 33 megapixel sensor does come into your advantage at those times where you might want to grab a few pictures. Then for video, the A7 IV has a lot of different codecs you can choose from depending on your needs and compatibility and what you can edit. But what I'm shooting on right now is a 4K XAVC-SI. No, XAVC-S, yes. The SI is the highest quality, but I don't really need that because the quality I get from the S codec is still pretty good, and I don't need to be giving my laptop any extra work when editing the video, so the S just works out fine. I could be shooting in XAVC HS, which is a codec which compresses the 4K footage, and you can edit it later depending on how your PC can handle it once it decompresses. Yeah, I don't know all the technical terms, but yeah, that's the gist of it. But with the HS codec, you get to shoot longer videos because it compresses the footage. But I don't shoot in that as well, because if I run out of space and need any extra footage, I'll just do footage dumps and come back and shoot more. Another advantage of the A7 IV is having S-Log3 at 10-bit 422, because the color space that you are able to color grade in is that much higher, and the colors you can get from this are so much better, honestly. But one thing I wish somebody would have mentioned in any of the videos I watched before getting this camera is that you need a CF Express Type A card or V90 SD card in order to be able to shoot in some of the codecs and in order to shoot in 10-bit 422. I didn't know that. I had to wait like a week after getting this camera before I could shoot in any of those codecs because I didn't have any V90 or CF Express Type A cards. But I finally did it, and I finally got them. They cost a buttload, but they're here and they work perfectly, and I love them. The main reason I got the Sony A7 IV is because I've started transitioning from photography to more video, and I've been doing a lot of video lately. So once I started doing a lot of video on my Nikon, I saw where it was lacking a lot. I mean, it was a good camera for a long time. It did a lot of my photo, and I still like it for photo. It handles pretty well. It's not dead to me yet. I still use it once in a while. But in terms of video, it was terrible. It was straight up ass, particularly in the autofocus department. The autofocus was so bad, it had this breathing thing where it did before it locked onto focus. Like, unlike this, if I do that, the focus shifts and then it's just back. The autofocus on the A7 IV is amazing. On the Nikon, it would think first before it would reach a point where it was focused, and that's what I hated about it when I did video, because I had to do video in manual focus all the time, and I am not a professional at pulling focus. I am not a first AD at all. I'm not a focus puller, and it was a terrible experience to need to live through that. Going from my Nikon D5500 to the A7 IV felt like going from a Toyota Corolla straight into a Bugatti, because this works. Like, the difference between these two cameras is so huge, you won't even, I can't even begin to explain. The comparison is so huge. There's so few similarities that I can't even compare the two cameras. The A7 IV is just that much better. So for video, let me tell you what this camera can do. One of the features it has is that it can crop to a Super 35 frame. So from the full frame, you get the view from a crop sensor. Talking about that, the camera can shoot up to 4K 60 frames per second, but at the 4K 60 frames per second, it has to crop to that Super 35 mode. Can't even explain why it does that, but yeah, it does that. It's not too much an annoyance for me, but for some people, I know that's their main complaint when it comes to this camera, because the A7 III can shoot no, not the A7 III, the A7S III can shoot 4K 60 without cropping to Super 35 mode. That isn't a sound argument, because the A7S III can also shoot 4K 120, which the A7 IV can't do. So the argument people make between those two is not really sound. But yeah, I still don't get why it has to go to Super 35 when you move to 4K 60. I guess it's for stabilization. That's just my assumption. I have no complaints about it, but yeah, people have been complaining, and so I had to mention that. So yeah, the camera does shoot in, you can shoot in 10-bit 422, which gives you a much wider color space when color grading. And if you shoot in S-Log3, as I do, it gives you so much range in color grading, and it's actually one of the reasons I love it for video. It just gives me so much to do in post, and I can creatively choose how I want my videos to look. If I want it to look like this or this, and I can still be happy with it. I did mention that you need a CF Express Type A card or a V90 card to be able to basically use all the features that the camera has, mainly the video features. Like, even if you want to shoot the slow and quick mode, you need a CF Express card, because anything below a V90 SD card is not fast enough to write all the data it's getting from the slow and quick mode or from the 4K 60 and the 10-bit 422 codecs. So yeah, that's one thing you need to think about before getting this camera. Okay, lastly, what I want to talk about the video on this camera is the autofocus. The autofocus is fast and texture. It works so beautifully. It was unbelievable to me, because moving from the Nikon, which had crappy autofocus, to this, which has like insanely fast autofocus, it was unreal. Like, look at this. If I were to put an object in frame focus, like, there's not even that much focus breathing that you need to watch out for, because it's so fast. I have nothing to say about the autofocus. It's fast and it's amazing and I love it, and I don't have the words to explain it, but it's absolutely beautiful. And if you get faster lenses, the compatible lenses with the A7 IV, which work fast, you can get even much faster autofocus than this. You see, it's absolutely beautiful and I love it. Mention the one thing I don't like about this camera. It is the price of the lenses. The Sony lenses cost a lot of money. Like, the most optimal lens that most people get is the 24-70 f2.8. Across all the camera manufacturers, that is quite an expensive lens. But the Sony 24-70 G Master 2 cost about as much as the camera. And the camera isn't cheap. The camera is quite hefty in price, but the price is worth it. But to buy a lens that costs as much as the camera would be insane. I mean, they have alternatives, but the alternatives are also quite expensive. Like, all the Sony first party lenses have quite hefty prices. Yes, they have like an FD50, which doesn't cost as much as the other lenses, but I'm doing video now, so using a 50mm for video is not very ideal for me. So that's why I need a very variable lens like a 24-70. But yes, I did find a lens I will be getting after this 28-70. That will be the 20-70 G lens, I think. Still not cheap, but a good alternative. And I forgot to mention, another con I don't like about this camera is you can't tether shoot directly to Lightroom with this camera. You have to get Sony's dedicated software if you want to tether shoot to your PC, and that's annoying because I've always just used tether shooting and I've shot directly into Lightroom. Now having to get all this other software just to shoot on this is annoying, and I know it's solely because Sony is Sony and they are petty as fuck. You've seen what they've been doing in the PlayStation and gaming space. Yeah, they do this. They like having their own ecosystem or whatever they want to call it, but it's a hindrance to most people and it's mostly a hindrance to me. So yeah, overall, this camera is absolutely amazing. Yes, it does cost a bit. It's not a cheap camera. It's in the upper mid-range or premium ranges because it's a camera for professional videographers, photographers, whatever you want to call them, or someone who's just wants to upgrade and become serious in what they do, like me, in video or photo. This camera works perfectly and would be a perfect fit for you. For me, it works perfectly and I love it and haven't had a complaint since. I'm looking to do so much with this camera and I will be posting and making so much content you will not believe. Over this past month, I've produced like 4-5 projects with this camera alone and I'm keep doing more still. I'm hoping that by the end of this year I would have gotten to where I want to be with this camera. Yeah, not that I couldn't do it with my other camera, no hate, but I feel an obligation because I have this one now. So yeah, expect more content from me for the next 6 months. I'll be posting every 2 weeks, so watch out for my video every 2 weeks so you know when to expect my videos now, not just as I've been dropping inshallah for the past year. Yeah, now I have a schedule and I'll be posting every 2 weeks and I promise to keep up with that. But yeah, that's been it from my video. It's been good and it's gonna be great from now on. Alright, thank you guys for watching this video. If you made it this far, I love you, dog. I love you and every single one of you. And yeah, follow my other channel if you want to see what I've been producing on this video. I'll link it up here right now and you can check out what else I've been doing on that channel. That's it for me and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Peace.